It's Johnny, and I'm on my gummy. This is going to get a little deep. Where do we live? What realm do we live? How do you get into this realm? Who is the master of this realm? If you just said people, you were wrong. I would think parasites. We live in a parasitic realm. Every time I see, people going up north. What's north of Canada? Oh, they don't teach you that. So north of Alaska, they'll show you a little bit of Alaska. They'll make it point way over there on the side. Nothing's above us. If you're standing at the north end of Russia, what's above you? Nothing. If you're standing in north of Canada, what's above you? Nothing. It's called the land of the Caucasians. It's the North Pole. There's a big, black, gigantic mountain there. That's the only thing the jet stream goes around on radar. And every compass points to it, and they tell you it's nothing's there. But the further up north you get, the keepers of the north are the flies and the mosquitoes. And everything in this realm suffers from parasites of one form. Insects get parasites, fish get parasites, mammals get parasites, birds get, you see, everybody. But if you're talking about all those different species that's here, how does a bird get in this realm? Comes through the egg. How does an insect get into this realm? Comes through an egg. How does a fish get into this realm? It comes through an egg. How do people get it? How does every living thing in this realm get here? Comes from an egg. I've got questions, man. I don't have answers. I never have answers. My mind changes, and the things that I see in history, and then I take these gummies and I like to dive in it because, man, these gummies relax my mind. So I can actually, man, it's like a 5-lane highway going both ways, my mind. And then whenever I take these gummies, it just opens up, man. Like it just opens up more lanes, and I can focus and think, man. How does everybody get into this life? What is this life? What are we? Well, we're ambassadors to this realm. I know the trees that I look at, it's all a filtration system. Trees filter. They take in carbon from the air, carbon dioxide, monoxide, every pollutant. Trees will take in, some of the pollutants kill the trees. But then all that carbon that they bring in goes into the root system. Carbon's your number 2 most abundant resource as far as liquid goes, with water being number 1, H2O. And all that carbon goes into the root system. See, I know they teach you about dinosaurs at the earliest stages, but man, and all these dinosaurs, that's where carbon comes from. Come on, man, come on. They'll never teach you about the fungi kingdom, ever, ever. You know what? While we're on the subject, what do they ever teach you that's true? Why would they teach you anything true? Why would they want you questioning anything? It's sheep on a tax plantation. It's slaves. Would you want your slaves to have knowledge? Who financed every aspect of slavery? Same people in control today. Now, I know the dumbest of us will be like, it's a crayon in the box. Let's blame everything on a certain color of crayon. Not everybody's capable of learning. Some people just don't want to hear. Some people don't want to see. Me and my brother are about as far apart as you can be. He's a worker bee. He loves it. So, hey, dude, I get to work on Sunday for $60 an hour. How much is your tax? Well, I mean, they're going to take half of it, but so you're going to work 7 days a fucking week for taxes? 40 hours. Who come up with that, man? Do you know that the peasants in history, the slaves in history, and the peasants, the lowest of the low of people in the histories, worked less then than they do now? And we can get into slavery on this tax plantation all you want, man, because most people just work to live. Well, back in the day, man, the slave plantations had to provide housing. Now you do. How much is rent today? Well, it's $2,000. Okay, so now you got to work 2 weeks, week and a half, just for the roof over your head. Now you got to pay electric, you got to pay water, you got to pay food. You're going to eat. You going to have any transportation back and forth to your slave job? Yeah, Johnny, that's a $465 a month plus insurance. That's mandatory. Insurance doesn't pay out 30% of the time, but the 70% it does pay out, it's negotiated. And that, sir, is a law. You've got to have it. You got to pay a certain group of people. Man, and then while you live on the tax plantation to survive, the elites charge you compounding interest. It's the same group of people that's been kicked out of every country that's actually in control of Israel at this time. The Palestinian Jew let in the Ukrainian Jew, and, well, genocide soon thereafter. This is ours. They come up with the terms compounding interest, man. It's never in your benefit. Never. Land of the free where nothing's free. And everybody goes, no, we were free during the Civil War. No, we were all put on a tax plantation, and nobody has to give you housing. Nobody has to give you food. Nobody has to give you a fucking thing. You go to work or you don't eat. And then if you work, we'll take our cut. And then the landlords, the lords of the land, will be like, well, they're going to sleep under a roof. And then the government was, hold on a minute. Well, if they buy something, they got to pay us yearly. We'll tell them it's for the schools where they teach them nothing. What do you learn in school? I'll tell you what we learn. You learn level systems. You learn authority. You're always climbing. You're always moving up, just like in the workforce, just like in the military, just like in college, just like in school, just like everywhere. You're always, and there's authority, and then there's breaks, and they get you used to sitting. The people in control of this slave plantation don't care about us. They force chemicals in our food. Everything we eat comes in a box or a bag. And they force chemicals. Even if you try to buy vegetables, it's genetically modified. GMOs. It's a fruit that doesn't grow in the wild. It's like, hold on a minute. What is this? It's easier to manipulate fruit than it is. Well, here, let's get into meat. I mean, there's no new cemeteries. Where's all the chickens? You know how many chickens you eat? Come on, man. Now they're just saying, hey, this meat is, it's grown. It's an industrial lab meat. Yeah, sure it is. And then your pharmaceuticals, man. They spray the chemicals over vegetables. They inject, in order for it to be USDA meat, the government mandates injections of what? Well, it's just got to keep you safe. How do you get non-USDA meat? I just want a farmer that lets his cows live a nice life. And then, you know what I mean? Chickens that get to see the grass or get to see the sun. These chickens that we're supposedly eating, man, they're born without beaks. You got to eat them. They have to butcher them in 32 days because in 37 it dies on its own, and we put that in our body. But don't worry. The pharmaceutical companies have got something that won't cure it, but it'll help you cope as long as you're paying. I just did my TikToks, man, and TikTok doesn't want to pay me. They'd rather ban me because of what I say. They don't want their sheep rattled. They don't want people seeing this. And no sooner than I get out, man, I woke up this morning, had 503 comments. And as soon as I clicked on it, well, your account has been permanently banned. There's keywords. You're just not allowed to think about that. You're not allowed to talk about certain things. Even discuss it. I don't know, man. I'm a veteran. I've seen things in the military that most military people didn't see. I thought I wanted to be somebody. And then when I seen that these people, man, I don't want to live my life like that. I've had enough abuse. I've had enough of the... They wouldn't let it go because once I showed them who I was, they were like, no, you're on the team. No, hold on, man. I just don't want to play no more. I excelled in prison. I excelled in the oil field. I excel in manly things. But the problem in my military career is I'm just not a very good soldier. I'm more of a warrior. You can't just talk to me any way you want. You can't just, I don't have to do what you fucking tell me to do. 'Cause I said so. So that's why I see the world a little different, man. I don't have to believe what people tell me. Like, well, that don't make sense. Well, that don't make sense. So I'll put together, I've always been very strategic. I'm not a very well-spoken person. I'm not a very highly educated person. I mean, I'm right there at my bachelor's, but I argued the whole way through. I tried to go to Oklahoma State, and those are professional students. You know what I mean? I raised my hand. Sir, this isn't a question and answer. This is a lecture. There were about 300 people in there. I was like, dude, who the fuck you talking to? Tried to walk on the football team. Orlando Mays knocked me smooth out. I tried to hit him as hard as I could. And when I woke up, all I could see was all the parking tickets. I had more parking tickets at Oklahoma State University than I had days there. I said, this ain't well. And then I went to another class and I tried to turn in this paper I worked really hard on. And everybody's handing them in, and then I walked by him. I said, oh, what are you doing? She handed it back, said, you can turn this in tomorrow for a letter deduction. Or grade deduction, however she said it. I said, what's the matter? It's got to be typed. I've never typed. This is back in the early 90s, mid-90s. I don't remember what year, but I was like, I've never typed it. Where do you get a typewriter? You can go to the library like everybody else. I was like, man, I'm not built for this. Go out and get my truck and have a parking ticket. Went to a few more schools, and it's like our education system is based on, I'm going to tell you the question and I'm going to give you the answer, and all you got to do is repeat it back to me. It's just regurgitation. There's no, hold on a minute, how do we even know this is right? Who owns all the publishing? Who's publishing all these books? It's the same people. Like, hold on a minute, where's our libraries? Well, Johnny, you're going to be surprised to know that throughout history, every major city, every big city, large city, major city has had a fire, and the library got it every time. Every wars. Who starts the wars? Oh my God, Christianity. Oh my God, Christianity. Well, the wars is Seems like all they're doing is destroying history. That's it. Well, and depopulation. They don't want us. I'm not a Christian, but I'm blessed to live in a Christian society. I believe in Yeshua, and Jesus is not Yeshua. Sure, they teach you that. Sure, no, it's completely different, man. Yeshua was the man. Jesus is the story. The man never changes his name. Yeah, but Johnny, they didn't have a J back then. And what you got to understand is, I don't care if Frank grew up on one side of town and comes to the other side of town. You never change your fucking name. If he's Frank in Russia, he's Frank in America. Or Yank. Let's just call him Yank. He doesn't have to have the F. Yeshua was a Jew, and he exposed his people because his people financed every aspect of slavery, and it was worldwide slavery. That's what you got to understand. The United States was going to be the first country. John Hancock signed his name so big, declaring our independence. He was a president. I understand our education system just starts at George Washington. Think about that. We're not going to talk about nothing else. We're just going to start it right here. Well, where are black people from? The largest continent in the world. Stop looking. Oh, okay. Well, what about white people? Y'all just come over here. Oh, did we? So white people we know came on boats. Who did the paddling? That's what you don't understand, man. In the Roman times, they killed a third, enslaved a third. But I mean, the Moors did too. Black people were in North America with the Moors. The people they conquered, they had like a pyramid scheme of slavery. Slavery's worldwide. And guess who financed every aspect? I believe it's the Ukrainian Jew that's currently, I believe they're the ones that never had a home of their own. They were kicked out of every country. And the Palestinian Jew allowed them in. And then the Ukrainian Jews genocide. Evil, man. It's evil. Epstein Island, Ukrainian Jew. Hollywood, Ukrainian Jew. Record labels, Ukrainian Jew. Prisons, Ukrainian. Everything points to the same people. Today, 2025, pedophilia is allowed in Israel. It's non-extradition. That's why every corrupt politician has dual citizenship to Israel. Because if shit ever gets exposed, well, you're always welcome in Israel, as long as you don't do it to their children. 800,000 of our children every year. 800,000 every year. They don't even count the kids at the border. Those kids don't even count, man. That is so sad. But Yeshua exposed his people. And the Ukrainian Jew, like always, doesn't have their fingerprints on it like all the world wars. They declared war on Germany first. Made all the papers. It's in the papers. That's where I found it. But Germany's propaganda, you know what they tell us about Germany? And, oh, it's the worst people ever. Yeah. Said they controlled their theater. They controlled their newspapers and their media and their music, and every German citizen was in debt to compounding interest, and dude, they were fucking sick of it. Like, hold up a minute. Hold up a minute. No wonder they don't want to teach us the truth. But Yeshua, he exposed them. They had the Roman army kill him with the spears, what really killed him, but they tortured him on the Christianity's #1 torture device in the world. My forefathers, before we were conquered, they'd put the cross on their shields and on their cloaks, their helmets, everything, the crosses. You just couldn't beat them. You just couldn't beat them, and you couldn't. That's why they put Christ right in the middle of our holiday. Yule, do you believe that back in the day we had a 13-month calendar because we knew we lived on a clock? And they knew when they could start having sex. Hey, if a woman starts having sex here, it benefits the family. And you can have a child every year and grow your name, grow your family. Boy, we have gotten way away from that. The corruption's got it to the point where the court systems control the man. The churches are supposed to control the woman, right? And then the schools control the children. The next generation, man, oh my God. Lord help me. There is a Lord. But if you look at the scoreboard of religions, they're all zero. The monks ain't doing it any better than the Christians. The Buddhists ain't doing it better than the Muslims. Our society's tainted. But man, I still think we've got the best people in the world. I don't know, man. I sit there and I watch China. This guy's over in China going, I'm lost in this communist country. These people are just out in boats. They're paddling, they're going to... There's no violence. There's no graffiti. If you look at Russia, you're like, man, these people are wholesome. Why can't we have that in the United States? Because it's division. It's mind-blowing how certain groups and cultures and races get to do whatever the fuck they want. And all they just blame everybody. Well, who you blaming? You? Me? How the fuck you blame me? Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, because Quentin Tarantino says, oh my God. How do you argue with people like that? You can't. But where does somebody like me go? I'm seeing the peaceful places in the world, and it ain't Chicago, and it ain't Detroit, and it ain't St. Louis, D.C., Philly. It's Americans, we deserve better. We fucking deserve a lot better, man. And now we're sitting here arguing with Jerome Powell, the Fed. What is the Fed? Is that a government agency? No, it's the head of the snake. Yeah, the United States is going to stay at the highest interest rate in the world. The world. Well, what's Switzerland's interest rate? 0.25. Oh. Wow. Can you imagine every American? Well, we don't own anything. You can't own anything in America. You can make a house payment for 30 years with compounding interest, do all the upkeep, pay taxes every year, but you don't own it. There's always a deed. There's a court that can take anything. You don't own your vehicles. You can't travel in this country. That's why they got out roads. There's no way to travel in the United States other than walking along the road system. 18-wheelers and shit. Well, you can't really walk on the interstates. So there's laws in where I can and can't walk. Yeah, and how you cross roads. And there's all kinds of roads or laws, codes, statutes, regulations. Man, we're not a country of rights. We're a country of fucking everything else but rights. It's the way I see the world, man. And I've never done drugs. Isn't that amazing? But I take these gummies. There is these dispensaries in Oklahoma everywhere. And I went and got my license. You need a license for everything except to have a baby. Man, and they love long-term abortions. Oh, can't talk about abortions. I got kicked off TikTok a couple of times. I got into some videos of people trying to buy kidneys and stuff. The lady was like, well, I need a Lamborghini. Can you imagine what a new liver, pancreas, lungs, eyes, stem cells, liver, kidneys? If I ever used any of that, man, I hope my soul burns in hell. I'll light the match. You can call slavery whatever you want, even the Quentin Tarantino movies and the bullshit that they teach us and stuff. You can say whatever you want. If you lived in slavery, I'll tell you what, if I lived in slavery, I'd own as many people as I could. I'd try to take over the world. I'd keep families together, absolutely. I'd take care of everybody, and the money we got, let's go save more families. You know what I mean? But John Hancock didn't know. He's like, hey, we're going to have a country of our own. We don't know how we're going to do it. It's never been done, ever. You live in the country that's going to do it first. England technically was winning the Revolutionary War, and then they left to go rob India, and then came back and got us. And they're still teaching. They're in charge of our court system. Oh my God. Drugs in your community. Let's just start there. We're not going to start in custody battles, because, man, everybody knows the man loses in everything. But marriage, custody, everything, child support, it's... But let's talk drugs in your community. How much drugs are in your community? A lot more than you think. Who wins with drugs in your community? Same thing. Does the user? They age at like 29% faster. They lose their teeth. And oh my God, they do the worst things that they're going to have nightmares. If they survive it, they'll have nightmares about what they've done during. But what about the user's family? All the lies, deceit, theft. We know that cancer. A lot of families been through it, and a lot of families have lost a lot. The communities, the school systems, the businesses. Who benefits with drugs in your community? The courts. Everybody's on probe. They're all, well, hey, don't do it again. They get all the money. I got my first DUI, and I don't want to get into that. Most corrupt thing I've ever been a part of. Officers, they didn't even have to turn in their body IDs. The judge wouldn't allow it. It's like, Your Honor, it's not the fact of guilt or innocence, because I deserve my share of DUIs. This is my first one. No injuries, none of that. I was parked, and I think somebody roofied me. I thought at the time it was the VA changed my medications, and I thought I was having a diabetic episode because I don't really monitor that. I couldn't move my face, my tongue, my hands, my eyes. So I seen a newspaper article of Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee, and they had record roofie, date rape situations in one weekend, and it made the paper, and I was like, son of a bitch, that's what it was. Man, these cops, dude, or these extortion officers, whatever you want to call them. But I got thrown in jail, and I was waiting in I was handcuffed to MS-13, and pretty good dudes, believe it or not. And this guy's like, yeah, they caught me. I had 40 grand in my pocket. And I said, hey, bro. And he said, man, I had a pound of smack. And I was like, whatever. He goes, man, they're going to put me away. And I said, no, you had 40 grand. They're going to cut you loose and make a deal. And they're going to try to catch your ass with more money. Listen to me. When they feel like you're not giving them as much money, they're going to hammer your ass. So you're kind of in a catch-22. It's either you're going to go back to work pushing dope, and if they catch you, you better have more than $40,000. If you only got $10 and you're not doing it and you get a little, well, then they're going to revoke your probation, then you go to jail on that other stuff. They're going to see how much of what they can get from you. And that young man was just staring at me, man, I said, bro, I control the prison system. I know. I've seen all this shit, classification downhill. Every one of these judges is not judges. They're administrators. They are appointed employees. They have to be in the bar. Who's in the bar? Your attorney, their attorney, the DA, the judge, everybody but you. Politicians that write the laws that they profit off of. Yeah, they're all in the bar. You don't need a license to be an attorney. No. You just got to be in good standing in the bar. You got to take the bar exam. You got to be one of the boys. Don't expose us. That's what I witnessed, and that's what I've seen. That's what makes me want to run for governor. Just take the bar out of the DA and get the truth and try to help people. Every crime has to have a victim, right? There's got to be victims in a crime. No, the cities, well, those are corporations. Well, the state, that's a corporation. They pull bonds off everybody, not the bonds you need to get out of jail. No, the bonds they send to the U.S. Treasury Department with your Social Security number on it. And they're big bonds. A DUI alone's $500,000. That's what I learned. Live in a land of corruption, a land of the free where nothing's free. And it just fascinates me, man, of the things I've seen in my life. So I take these gummies. Man, and I talk about things, and goddamn gnats flying up my nose. Talk about conspiracies. I talk about everything I want. Anything I want. I talk about what you want. Might not be what you want to hear, but I've seen things, man. I've read things that they hide. It's not the things that's out there that they want you to believe, like Google. Google's not just a search engine. It's meant to keep you under their influence. You know what I mean? I don't know where you search for stuff, and I don't know. But every compass points to something they tell you is not there. And it's illegal to go see. We used to travel with the stars throughout millennia. The stars are in the same place they've been. Yeah, no, Johnny, we're flipping through space at 1,000,000 miles an hour through infinity. No, the stars are in the same place, and you're bright enough to figure that out. The only problem is it's illegal to go look. If you said, hey, I just want to follow like Magellan did, or I want to follow like Christopher Columbus. There's you some facts. Christopher Columbus. He was an Italian man. Queen Isabella, when they got fucking Spain back from the Moors, within a year, Queen Isabella was pissed because the Moors occupied Spain and France for 700 years. 700 years before the Roman Empire. So what happened? They hired Christopher Columbus out of Italy, and they followed the Moors, and I read some of Christopher Columbus's journals. I got the opportunity to see those when he got to the Haitian people. So these people will let you, they bring you in, they're non-violent, they're the most peaceful people I've ever met in my life. They feed you, they give you clean water, they house you, they'll let you sleep with their wives. Queen Isabella responded exactly what you would think and how the world is today. That's amazing. Enslave them all. So the first thing they did in 1641, there was like 160 million people in North America. In 1800, there was like 10. They released all the diseases that they learned from us. Smallpox, the Black Plague, the blue bubonic plague. There's all kinds of. They've been killing us throughout millennia. They force religions on us. And after generation to generation, generations are only 20 years. In 20 years, the mother will have a child. And that child will have a baby in 20 years. And think about that. So you go from 160 million. And while people are still having children, you still get the total down to 10 million. Think of all those lives lost. And all the Native Americans and the Moors that were here in North America, they, after disease, they got the Roman army. And who could stand up to that? That's who conquered it. Everybody in North America is a conquered people. Every white people, now I'm not talking about all of them, but we're going to say majority, mostly, were placed on ships after their countries were conquered by Rome. A third are killed, a third are enslaved, and a third are left with a new language and religion. They change names. God almighty. Y'all need some fresh water. I'm going to give my dogs fresh water. Hey, come on, Whalers. 35 minutes. I'm going to post it on my YouTube. Much love, everybody.